Wyoming is the least populated state in the USA. I think it's about 580,000, maybe. Its most populated city is Cheyenne, which I think has like 65,000 people in it. But it's the 10th largest state. It's super spread out. If you've ever been to Wyoming, you know what I'm talking about. It's a bunch of pretty small cities scattered over a very big state, which makes having a, productive and functioning music scene kind of difficult. I'm going to tackle that a little bit later in this video, but I wanted to highlight some of my favorite indie bands and artists from Wyoming. Indie meaning, small, independent, not in the strictly indie rock sense. Now, first, the usual disclaimers. So in this series, I'm trying to highlight bands and artists who fit these three conditions. They're loose conditions, but, One, they're rock or rock adjacent. Two, the bands have got to be active, meaning they're playing shows or recording music or both. And three, they're under around 100,000-ish monthly listeners on Spotify. I'd like to highlight bands that are not a lot of people know about. So Wyoming, there's some pretty big artists from there. Chris Ledoux is from Wyoming. Teenage Bottle Rocket is a more famous band from Wyoming. But we're not going to talk about those bands. We're going to talk about some of the smaller ones. Starting out with number one on my list is Sean Hess.
Do you tell yourself that it's all just too late now? That there's nothing out there left for you to find anyway, anyhow.
Sean Hess is a country and folk singer, and he's kind of the core. He's the center of Laramie, Wyoming's music scene. I think he's the bartender for a venue called the Roughed Up Duck, which is like the hub of all indie music in Laramie, basically. I might be wrong about that, but that's what my research has turned up. Sean Hess, he puts on a lot of shows. He plays a lot of shows as Sean Hess. I think he's with the band called 10 Cent Stranger as well, kind of a Wyoming supergroup. But he just put out an album last year called Wild Onion, and I love it. Sean Hess's songwriting is very funny. It's very humorous. He uses a lot of funny turns of phrase, and his songs can be romantic. They can be sweet. They can be just about life in Wyoming. I think it's really good. You should check out Wild Onion. Real quick, this is a series that I've been doing on Instagram for a while now, almost 2 years, called The Coolest Bands in All 50 States. But I wanted to take it a little bit further. I wanted to expand it. I wanted to do more bands. I wanted to go more into depth on each band. Instagram, TikTok limits you to, about 90 seconds. So in this video, I'm going to be blowing it up a little more. Wyoming was the first state I did, so it's the first YouTube video I'm going to do here. Next is an artist named Hunter Hicks.
I wish I lived in a house like the one across the street, 'cause the grass is always cut and the windows are always clean. And I'd wash my clothes once a week and do all the dishes in the sink.
I think Hunter Hicks lives in New Orleans now. I might be wrong about that, but he grew up in Wyoming, so I'm going to mention him here. He's also a folk singer, kind of country-flavored artist, sort of like Sean Hess. His latest album also came out last year called Maple Syrup Jar, and it's really good too. He's also very funny. My favorite aspect of country music is that it can be really funny. The songwriting can be very, witty, and very like slice of life, which I enjoy a lot. So check out Maple Syrup Jar by Hunter Hicks. Next, I want to talk about some bands in the punk and emo category. First is a band called Box Elder. They're from Jackson, Wyoming, which is right by Grand Teton National Park. They recently, within the last year or two, released an EP called Between Endings and Beginnings. They're really good. They have a great pop-punk sound. And then So Called is another band from Casper, Wyoming. They just released an acoustic version of their song Shipwrecked.
It's just like the time I fell apart, and I never called, drove to your house, your car's still out front.
Both of those bands are really good. They have a lot of energy. Last from this category is a band called Harpoon the Whale. Harpoon the Whale. I featured them on my series on Instagram a couple years ago, and they are still performing. They're still putting on shows. They're a very high-energy band, and their latest album I think it's a self-titled album, has a lot of Midwest emo influence, a lot of really like guitar riffs, which I love. It's fun to listen to, and they seem like very genuine guys. They also have there's a set on YouTube you can watch of them playing live that's really good. Okay, moving back into sort of a country and folk vibe, I want to talk about Christian Wallowing Bowl.
Troubled German, listen to me. Don't ever tear your people apart.
Christian Wallowing Bowl is a member of the Northern Arapaho tribe, and he is based, I think, just outside of the Wind River Reservation, and his music is really interesting, really cool. He has these guitar riffs that are kind of droning and repetitive. It just goes on and on and on. It kind of puts you in like a meditative trance-like state, and he has this really like husky, deep, kind of growling Johnny Cash-ish voice. Next is Kellen Smith, who's an artist from Gillette.
I'm alone, drift through the plains, staying true to my 6-gun you hold.
Kellen Smith has almost like a darker country sound, kind of like Coulter Wall. His latest album kind of sounds more like Tyler Childers. I'm sorry if I'm always making comparisons to them, but they're just great. I like their music. His songs are all very storytelling based. He talks about people. He has songs about ranchers, about casket builders, about oil men. Again, songs about life in Wyoming, life on the prairie. And his newer album has some very like sweet and softer songs too. Last is an artist called Prairie Smoke.
But you gotta know just where you're headed by the time you turn 18. Well, it's new clothes that I'm wearing, but they all fit the same.
Prairie Smoke just barely dropped an album called Floodlights, and it's really good. Prairie Smoke has sort of an indie sound mixed with a folky sound, I guess. It's called indie folk. He has kind of a smoky folky voice, kind of Dylan-esque. I like it. His songwriting is also very good. It's very poetic, and it doesn't sound like anything else that I found from Wyoming. It's unique. It has a cool edge to it, and I think you'd like Prairie Smoke. Those are all the bands I'm going to highlight for today, but I wanted to say Wyoming is a tough place to be in a band. One, I was talking to Box Elder, the band. These are some of the things they mentioned. One, it's really spread out. Like I said, all the towns are pretty far away from each other, so if you're playing in multiple towns, I mean, you're going to have to drive pretty far. I think from Jackson, where they're based, to Denver, where there's like kind of much more people, it's like a 9-hour drive. So even if you're just going on a short little weekend tour, that's a lot of driving. Also, the towns are so small that it's hard to get. I mean, if you're in a band, you know this. Even if you're in a big town, some genres just don't pull that many people. Hardcore, metal, punk, they just don't bring the crowds. If you have a really big city, you can get enough people to pack a room. But if you're in a smaller town, it's pared down significantly. So that makes it tough to build an audience within Wyoming. Box Elder also mentioned that a lot of venues in Wyoming want to have that Western cowboy aesthetic. So they want, to bring in musicians who are going to sound country, who are going to sing cowboy songs, who are going to be bluegrass. Nothing wrong with that. I love those genres. But if you are not in a country or bluegrass band, it might be tough for you to get gigs. It might be tough for you to get people at your shows. I mean, it's the same problems you have anywhere where a music scene is tough. Not enough people, not enough of a scene of people who like your sound, and, long drives to places where people will like your sound. So it makes it tough, but major props to all the bands in Wyoming who are making it happen, who are writing songs, who are playing, who are touring. Even a small scene can be so meaningful and so impactful to people who need that escape, who need to find people who are liking the same music as they do, who are part of their tribe. So, again, props to all the Wyoming bands and artists. The purpose of this series is to prove that there's good music being made all over the country. There's bands and artists, kids and adults working hard to make cool stuff everywhere in every single state, even in, small, more remote places like Wyoming. Well, thanks so much for watching this longer form version of this series here on YouTube. I'm trying to do every single state again, so if there's a band that you feel like I missed in the videos on Instagram, I'd love to hear about it. You can send me a link. It'll be in the description. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's my first time saying that. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing these. The goal is every other week, doing a video on a state on this expanded version on YouTube. And make sure to go support all these bands and artists. Go stream their music. Go check them out. You never know when you might find your new favorite musician. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening.